So today I'd like to talk about immigration, border wall, which we hope we're going to get. Donald Trump announced his candidacy to run for the GOP nomination last August. And in his speech, he stated his belief that we need a border wall because we have tons of unchecked crime coming across the border from Mexico. He was immediately denounced as being a racist. They stated almost the next day his chances of winning the nomination were about zero. And suddenly he was number one in the polls, and he's remained number one in the polls ever since. And the more that they argue about him and throw dirt at him, he seems to be immune, and he climbs higher and higher in the polls. He seems to be virtually unbeatable. Everybody who's gone up against him has been tossed to the side, with the exception of Ted Cruz, who's hanging in there, but he's really fighting a losing battle too. Now, as for Donald Trump stating that we get a lot of crime coming across the border from Mexico, well, duh, that's a no-brainer. We do get a ton of crime coming across the border from Mexico. We have drug gangs that smuggle tons of narcotics into our country. We have gangs that are being imported into our country from South America, Central America, Mexico. We have human trafficking, which is big business, the actual movement of human beings into this country for financial gain. This is stuff that's gone on unchecked for decades, and it's not just the Democrats' fault. It's the Democrats and the Republicans' fault. Remember, I've said before, the Democrats and Republicans are a two-headed serpent. They're responsible for everything that goes wrong in this country. They can blame each other. It's all part of a game, but they're both to blame. We've had no real structure along our border for as long as anybody can remember. These border fences, any teenage kid can climb. There's literally nothing, there's no deterrent to stop people from coming across. And down in Mexico, there are actually way stations along the way that will give people tutorials and printouts of where to go once they get to the U.S. They actually will instruct them how to come here and apply for free shit. And where I blame the Democrats is that they want this to continue because they see these people as being future Democrats. They have put their party ahead of the country. They'll welcome anybody. You're an illegal immigrant, Democrats want you. You're a jihadi, Democrats want you. You've been dead and buried for 20 years, the Democrats want your vote. Okay? They've never met a vote they didn't like. Okay? That's one of the reasons why nothing's ever been done about this. Now, the Republicans want cheap labor, the Democrats want votes. That's it in a nutshell. Donald Trump comes along and he says, fuck that shit. Something's got to be done about this. People are up in arms. Who's going to be damaged by this? People who can't get into the country illegally anymore, and those in the country that support their so-called right to come here unfettered without any restrictions at all. That's got to come to an end. We as a people have a right to have a border, and we have a right to police that border. And we have a right to say who comes in and who doesn't. And believe it or not, we can say no sometimes. We could say no to some people sometimes. Okay, we have a right to do background checks. We have a right to determine if someone coming into our country is actually going to be beneficial to us once they get here. And if they're not going to be beneficial and their presence here is going to be detrimental, we have a right to say, no, you can't come in. There's nowhere is it written that we have to take in every single person that wants to come here. We don't have to take in 50,000, 100,000, 150,000 refugees from Syria. We don't know who the hell they are. We don't know if they're jihadists, if they're part of the war that's going on there, if they're ISIS members that are going to be infiltrating the refugees. Throughout all of that, I haven't really heard much talk at all about how many refugees from the Middle East are Christians or Yazidis. They're the ones who need it the most. If you're going to be magnanimous and you're going to take some refugees in, how about taking in the people who need it the most? Christians are being slaughtered in the Middle East. They're going to be extinct in that part of the world in a few more years. There's an absolute plot and a plan to exterminate Christianity in the Middle East, and yet we see all of these Muslim refugees coming into our country, and Obama tells us there is no religious test to come in. You don't ban anybody because of their religion, but you do ban them if they come from a dangerous part of the world and you can't determine who they are. Okay? And like I said, refugees are supposed to be people who need it the most. These Yazidis, they're probably still living in the mountains waiting for airdrops that are never going to come. Nobody's helped them at all, at least not from our side. The Kurds have probably helped them. We haven't done shit for them, not with this president. Okay? And, you know, this is the reason why Trump is as popular as he is right now. Because there are a growing number of people who are sick of this. Okay? You cannot socially engineer the makeup of the United States of America and think that the people whose ancestors built this country are going to just sit still and let that happen. I'm sorry to say, if you think that I'm being racist for saying that, this country was built by Anglo-Saxons, and I have no Anglo-Saxon ancestry in my blood. Half my family comes from Italy, and the other half are German Jews. But I accept the fact, and I acknowledge the fact, this country was built by the English. They came over here, they revolted from the English rule, they won the revolution, and they drafted a constitution which welcomed people from other parts of the world to come here and become Americans. When you come here, you've got to become an American. If there's no room in your heart to become an American and to salute our flag, you shouldn't be coming here. And if you're here stepping on our flag, burning our flag, and you're not of this country, we need to send you back where you came from. That's just common sense. We're not going to just sit here and allow ourselves to be immigrated out of existence. You get this guy from Univision, Jorge Ramos. I know that Latino people love this guy to pieces. I mean, I'm married to a Latino woman, and she thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But I got to be honest. I've told her, and I'm going to tell all of you, he is a reconquistador. Okay? He has dual citizenship in the United States and Mexico. What the fuck does that mean, dual citizenship? When you become an American citizen, you take an oath of allegiance to this country, and in that oath, you denounce all foreign powers. You renounce all ties to other countries, to other kings, to other powers. If you call yourself an American and something else, you're not an American. I'm sorry. If you say that you're a Mexican and an American, you're a Mexican, you're not an American. If you vote in U.S. elections and then you scurry across the border to go vote in the Mexican election, that's criminal, man. That shouldn't be allowed. If you have violated your oath of your naturalization and you still have ties to another country, that's shame on you, and shame on us for letting you be here. That's got to stop. I mean, this is the nuts and bolts of this whole thing. It's not about foreigners coming to this country. It is about foreigners not assimilating well into our country. And that's something that's fairly new, because we've taken in immigrants for well over 200 years. The United States has been the biggest proponent of worldwide immigration in the history of the planet. We've taken in more people than any other country. We've welcomed in more refugees than any other country. We've given more people in the world an opportunity to live free and to prosper in our country than any other country has done for us or for any other country in the world. Okay? But for the past 20, 30 years maybe, people are coming here and they don't want to be Americans. They want to continue to be, Mexican or Salvadoran or Syrian or wherever the fuck it is they come from. They can't let go of their ties to their homeland. Okay? Half my family is Italian. Nobody in my family speaks Italian. And the reason for that is we gave it up a long time ago. We became Americans. Okay? If you want to come here, you've got to become an American. And if you can't be an American and you can't salute our flag and have respect for our country and respect our laws, you can't come in. And if you're already here, you've got to go back. That's the reason why Donald Trump is so popular. That is why Donald Trump is going to win. And that is all I have to say on that.